Good morning, YouTube. Early morning rant. Beautiful Rochester, New York morning. Sunny skies. This video is going to be about a local topic. And I say that because I know I have, I guess we could say international followers, right? Good morning. Let it shine. Good morning to you. Thank you for tuning in. Where are you tuning in from, if you don't mind me asking? Again, this video will be of a local topic. Scotland watching. Wow. Beautiful. Thank you. Hold on. And Rochester. Okay, from Rochester. And Scotland. We have Scotland in the house early. Santa Claus from North Pole. Santa Claus. Santa Claus from New Jersey. Santa Claus from the North Pole getting all the toys ready. Got the elves working overtime. Good morning to everyone. Just like I said, just Eastwood, what's good? Davy V, what's good? Andy Taylor, keep the videos coming. Absolutely. Thank you. That's motivation right there. 3 words. Keep the videos coming. Thank you. If you guys really want to see the rants and want to see me, you know, doing my thing, then I will absolutely keep pushing them out. That I give you my word on. Trust me. They'll keep coming. We can make kind of like a little agreement right now, all right, on this live. You guys and girls keep watching them. I'll keep making them. How's that? Makita says, I learned from you. Makita from Rochester. I appreciate it. I really do. And, you know, that's what it's about at the end of the day. Think about it. It's about, you know, whether learning or if you want to call it maybe inspire, you know what I mean? Andy Taylor, I have watched most of your videos. Thank you. I appreciate that very much, Andy. I truly do. The New York Jets 15. What's up, Davy? John Baxter, top of the morning. Top of the morning to you, sir. Geneva, New York in the house also. New York Jets 15. Home of Rocky Fratto, boxer. Geneva, New York. Thank you, Andy. I appreciate you, your kind words. I have just over 960, I believe, videos on this channel. Almost 1,000 videos. So for Andy to say that he's watched most of the videos, I really, really thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Have a great day, mate. Same to you. Same to you. Thank you, Andy. Over the summer here in Rochester, New York, to be specific, in Brighton, New York, which is a town, a suburb of Rochester, New York, okay? A high school student, a young woman, young African-American woman, who I'm not really going to name the name. I'm not going to give her any shine, any more publicity. The Rochester, New York's mainstream news media outlets gave her enough attention, okay, for a video that she put out. A very immature, very ignorant. Sup, my dog, you know Bosses is in the house. Yes, Submarine Vet 81. Boston in the house. Thank you. A lot of love from Massachusetts. Thank you for tuning in. So over the summer, this young woman, young African-American woman, a high school student at Brighton High School in Brighton, New York, again, just outside Rochester, made a video, a very immature, ignorant, ghetto video. Only people that have watched that video will get that. Throughout the video, she had an annoying snapping of the fingers. Super, super fucking annoying. You can see the video. It's online. Just Google Brighton, New York, racism or whatever. Submarine laughing my fucking ass off. Yep. Submarine Vet 81, Boston. Anyways, Here's my thing. Those of you who know me, John Baxter's laughing. Man, I want to do that. I don't want to stop doing that now. Bop, 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 bop. Man, it's kind of addicting. I want to keep doing it. So, those of you know that Makita's left. Those of you know that I'm a straight shooter, and I guess I'm gonna go out on a limb here and make a wild guess and assumption that that's the reason why most of you tune in. Okay, got me ready to do it. And honestly, I'm just morning, Jonathan. What's good, Jonathan? Thank you, my brother. Thank you for tuning in, Jonathan Robles. Those of you know that I'm a straight shooter, right? And I'm gonna call it like I see it. Some things we'll agree on, some things we won't, and that's fine, you know? But I've been very, very critical and very outspoken against Black Lives Matter. Not for the reasons that other people have been outspoken against them, right? Other races and stuff like that. But for the reason that I think back in the 50s, beatniks snapped their fingers rather than clap. Straight as they come. Thank you, Andy. I appreciate that. And there's a lot of hypocrisy within the BLM, Black Lives Matter movement, and that's what I can't stand. Mainly my issue with Black Lives Matter is that as a second-generation police accountability activist, as the son of a police accountability activist in the 1980s, long before YouTube, long before the internet is what it is, long before social media is what it is, long before smartphones, my dad, Mario Vara, was out here on these streets denouncing and calling out elected officials, public servants, obviously police officers, and one of the pioneers speaking out against police misconduct, right? He also was one of the first cop watchers. I'll put a link in this video to the magazine article a couple of years ago, the Fader magazine. You know, my dad's been gone for 25 years, and they're still writing about him as one of the pioneers when it came to recording police and cop watching, right? With the old school VHS camera, long before these smartphones that I'm talking into right now. And my issue with Black Lives Matter is as follows. They have no problem whatsoever protesting, okay, when a cop, especially a white cop, takes the life of a black person, a black youth, a black person, African-American, black. And that's all fine. Absolutely, communities across this country, across the world, should be outraged with abuse of power, with rogue criminal cops. David D'Angelo, good morning, Davy V. This is Davy D from Henrietta. You are an awesome way to start the day. Thank you. BLM never talk, show up, demonstrate, etc. when it is black killing black. Absolutely, that's where I'm going. All lives matter, don't they? Andy Taylor. David, oh, I missed that one. Roger, hi from Buffalo. Roger, Buffalo in the house. Thank you for tuning in. And again, I don't want to get too long-winded, which is very hard for me not to do, as you know, because the Cuban and Italian in me. That's right. My grandfather was Italian, went to Cuba at a very young age and laid down roots. Angelino. So I have Cuban and Italian. And it's hard to shut up sometimes, right? So without getting long-winded here, my main issue with Black Lives Matter is you guys and girls just called it out. When it is black on black crime, we should have a big, even 1000s video. Absolutely. We're going to plan something. Geneva, absolutely. Event, absolutely. An event for the thousands video. 1000s. Man, I can't even pronounce it. Black Lives Matter facts. Professor, what's good? Where you tuning in from? Let me just say it like this. Black Lives Matter has no problem whatsoever protesting when a cop takes the life of a black person. Gates, New York. Gates. Much love to Gates, New York. Thank you, Professor. As they should. as we all should be outraged every time a cop, a trigger-happy cop, takes an innocent life, whether it be black, Latino, white, which we're going to get into that, because you know how many white people are killed every year and have been killed by police? But for some reason, mainstream media doesn't talk about that. And we're going to make another video about why they don't talk about that one day. Okay? Trust me, mainstream media, I'll just tell you this, runs on ratings. Ratings equals payola. Payola is cash. And they know what subjects to exploit. Absolutely, Roger. Every time anyone is killed, we should be outraged. And mainstream news media knows what issues to exploit and sensationalize. And what bigger hot topic issue than race? Think about that. Ask yourself that question. 100% Italian here. I understand talking. Oh, I know you do, D'Angelo. David knows. And the hands. I got the hands going. Mainstream news media knows what issues are hot button, hot topic issues to exploit. Because them exploiting and sensationalizing issues, such as race-related issues, right, equals ratings. And ratings equals cashish, dinero, money, right? Paper. It's a paper chase. So with that said, my main issue, absolutely, Roger said blood cells and they use it. Abso-fucking-lutely. New York Jets, which is why they are always after President Trump. Ratings agree with him when he goes after the media, 100%. You know, we will disagree on some things, but I respect you, and I respect you for your opinion. But let's just say this. Let's just say this. My issue with Black Lives Matter is that when it is black on black crime, which I know people don't like that word. You can't use that phrase. You're not black. You're not African American. How can you? That is unbelievable that you use that. When you look at Chicago, when you look at the bloodshed on the Chicago streets, when you look at Rochester, New York, a few weeks ago, me and my man, Yeah Right. By the way, good morning to Yeah Right. I'm not sure if he's on. Good morning, my brother. When you look at the issues just in the city of Rochester, a couple of weeks ago, me and Yeah Right did a video. We collaborated on a live video where young black youth was gunned down basically in broad daylight. I mean, it was evening, but it wasn't even dark out. In my old neighborhood, Lowell Avenue and Child Street, on the corner of Lowell Avenue and Child Street. Not a fucking peep from Black Lives Matter. Not a word. Nothing. Not a word. Then, take it back to the summer. You guys and girls probably remember a video where I showed up to the scene of a double homicide. 2 young black men executed as they sat in their car in the parking lot of a Rite Aid pharmacy on the corner of Brooks Avenue and Thurston Road on Rochester's west side. A stone's throw away from the Rochester, New York airport. Let me turn this heat down. I'm burning the fuck up in here. Where was Black Lives Matter then? Black Lives Matter, it happens every day here in Buffalo. Absolutely. Absolutely, Roger. Last winter, when the black kid was missing, where was BLM? They could have formed a search. Absolutely. Santa Claus. Absolutely. When Travion Rowe was missing, the autistic young African-American child who wound up dead in the river, in Genesee River. You guys and girls, if you've been watching me for a while, you remember that. If not, look up Davy v. Travion Rowe. Look how I called out the Rochester, New York Police Department. Look at how I pointed out how the response was totally different. And it's true. Where was Black Lives Matter then? Why didn't they organize their own party? And by the way, I'm going to say something here really controversial that's going to piss a lot of people off. But that's what I do, right? Since 2015, cops have shot and killed 3,309 unarmed people. Absolutely. Urban, I saw that. Sub, I'm sorry, Sub. I missed that comment. Send it again if you can. I'm going to say something here. I'm going to say something here that's going to piss some people off, but that's what I do, I guess, right? At the end of the day. Can't please everybody. Own agendas. Absolutely, Andy. And then you'll see where I'm going with this whole Black Lives Matter thing. Let me say it like this, to make it simple, to not get too long-winded here. In Brighton, New York, you see a lot of Caucasian, white families, affluent families, and they have the Black Lives Matter posters and lawn signs, okay? They're being duped, and I'll tell you why. Black Lives Matter is using white folks to push their hypocritical agenda, okay? Go to a video where I forgot the title of it, I'll link it to this description, where I showed up to a Black Lives Matter rally over the summer in downtown Rochester, Washington Square Park, downtown Rochester. And watch what they did and what they said. And right before I showed up, and I'll put the extended video up soon, right before I showed up, they were basically, Black Lives Matter is one of the most racist organizations that there is. Okay? Not to get into politics, but where I first started seeing the hypocrisy and the double standards behind Black Lives Matter. What's good? What's good? Dave Walker, 14433. Where you tuning in from? They were so threatened by you showing up. Absolutely. The New York Jets 15. Thank you. Thank you, my brother, for seeing that. They are one of the most, when I first realized and a light went off, it had already kind of turned on, but where it really went off, and not to get into politics here, okay, so I don't want to make it about politics, but when they bashed and interrupted, and when the two girls acted all ghetto-like and completely interrupted and disrespected Bernie Sanders during the, when he was doing his speeches. And again, I don't want to make it a political thing, but please give me a minute to see where I'm going with this. Without even knowing. See, here's the thing. Even the folks that are in the Black Lives Matter movement don't know their own history, don't know the civil rights history in this country. And I'm taking it back to Martin Luther King. I always say the father of the civil rights movement is buried in my Hope Cemetery, Frederick Douglass, one of my heroes. But I'm talking now specifically about Martin Luther King and the 60s movement with civil rights movement, right? That Dr. King was behind. These ignorant young black girls who shut down Bernie Sanders, and you guys and girls probably saw that video, okay? A few years back. And completely disrespected him, had no idea that Bernie Sanders was one of the white folks who was actually arrested during the 60s, who participated in the civil rights movement, in rallies, and in peaceful protests. Where am I going with this? That the majority of the folks that are involved with the Black Lives Matter movement are hypocrites. They're hypocrites. And again, which will piss people off, a lot of the white folks and white families, especially here in Brighton, New York, okay, outside of Rochester, ignorance, exactly, Andy, that I see with their, T-shirts and the lawn signs, Black Lives Matter, don't realize that actually they are being used by one of the most hypocritical, most racist and double standard movements, if you want to call it that. Now, let me stop real quick. Davy, let me play here devil's advocate. Davy, what the fuck is your problem? Stay in your lane. You talk about police misconduct. You're not black. You have no business talking about Black Lives Matter. Yes, the fuck I do. Because again, as a second-generation police accountability activist who will call out dirty, corrupt cops like this. Let me snap them. Let me snap them like the ignorant girl did in her video. Let me snap them. I can't stand hypocrisy and double standard. How the fuck is Black Lives Matter even have the audacity and the nerve to assemble and protest when a cop, Andy likes that, This for Andy. Who, when a cop kills a black youth or a black person, right? But when there's 700 plus murders in Chicago, and when a young little black girl is sitting in her home or in her car, because there's been several, and is killed by a stray bullet, and Black Lives Matter doesn't say shit. Are you fucking kidding me? The hypocrisy is so blatant and so in your face that whenever I see white folks screaming Black Lives Matter, I want to tell them, wake the fuck up. What is fucking wrong with you? How can you denounce a cop killing a black person, but give two shits about the fact that black folks are taking black lives daily? How is it that you won't hesitate to pick up a sign or a megaphone or a bullhorn or whatever the fuck you want to call it and call out cops who kill black folks, but you won't do shit? Preach it, brother Dave Walker. Thank you. But you, thank you, appreciate it. But you won't do shit when an innocent young black life is taken at the hands of another black life. Roger, nothing but truth. And how can people follow the blatant hypocrisy? Not even how can they follow it, how the fuck can they contain themselves and not call it out? Sup, fam? Facts. What's good? Never a true word spoken. Run for president. Never a truer word spoken. Sorry. I know I got your vote. Here's the thing. You should say minority because you can't speak for my race. No disrespect, though. Submarine vet. Check this out. You cannot call out a corrupt cop taking a black life and at the same time completely ignore that the biggest enemy of black folks, of Latino folks, of minority folks, will encompass the whole thing, is not the police. I have said it before and I'll say it again, and then I'll get to the point of this video and we'll wrap it up. I will say it before, I have said it before and I'll say it again. I worry more about a black youth taking my son's life. My sons are African American and Latino. Robbing them for a pair of sneakers, like happened here in Rochester, New York years ago, where a young black man, totally excited about college, got in line for some fucking Nikes, which our own people are brainwashed. You know what I mean? Who the fuck would get in line at 2, 3, 4 in the morning for a release of a Nike? I wouldn't. Got in line, and another black youth who gave zero fucks about that black life shot him dead just to steal his money. There was a case on Clinton Avenue, La Avenida, Rochester's east side, where a young man went to a sneaker store in the hood next to a liquor store while his mother went to cash a check at a check cashing place. Because we all know that strategically that liquor stores and check cashing centers are strategically placed throughout the hood, right? Think about that one. And while this young man's mother was cashing her check and he was excited to go cop the latest pair of $200+ Nikes, as he came out of the store with his new sneakers, this was about 5 years ago, he was gunned down by another black youth. And they took his sneakers off his feet. He walked with bullets in him and blood pouring out, made it less than 200 feet across the street and collapsed, died in front of the steps of St. Michael's Church on Clinton Avenue in Rochester, New York. Where the fuck was Black Lives Matter then? Nowhere to be found. Just like they're nowhere to be found. Thank you, New York Jacks. In all respect, I think Davy speaks for every race. But that's okay. Everybody has their opinion. I'm not black, so I can't call out the hypocrisy that I see every day in my hometown when it comes to the total ignoring of black youth being killed by other black youth. I can't call it out because I'm not black. It's all good. I'm used to that. That drives me and that motivates me more to continue to call out the bullshit and the hypocrisy, and I will not stop calling it out. And it's nothing against Subvet. He's welcome on this channel. They're welcome on this channel. I respect their point. I don't agree with it, but I respect it. But to be more politically correct in today's day and age, since people can't stand a Latino who grew up in the hood with mostly black friends and black girlfriends and has kids who are African American and Latino and has done more in this city to stand up and be a voice against police executing innocent, unarmed black folks and Latino folks for more than 2 decades, and whose dad did more here than any of these so-called black reverends and black preachers. But since I'm not black, you can't talk about that, Davy V. You don't have that hood pass to talk about black folks and what we are doing. Stay in your lane, kid. You're Latino. You're not black. That motivates me even more because that in itself is part of the history. Again, trying to stay on topic here and not get distracted. The hypocrisy in the black community is disgusting. The hypocrisy in the black community is disgusting. You got black women who don't even know their true identities, who want to be white so bad and are ashamed of their black, beautiful African roots and culture and history and lineage, that they change their appearance and they change their look. I have witnessed firsthand black women hating on other black women just because the other black women are lighter complexion. But again, Davy V, stay in your lane. You're not black, my brother. You're Latino. You can speak for us and you can defend us when the cops fuck us up and we don't do anything. But don't criticize us. That's the message that I have received for decades. And guess what? It won't stop me from continuing to call out the bullshit. Black Lives Matter is one of the most hypocritical movements ever. And sadly, millions of people have been duped by it. People who don't realize just how racist the movement is. People that don't realize that, if anything, the Black Lives Matter movement has used white folks to advance their agenda and their so-called hypocritical movement. So-called movement, which is hypocritical, better said. So I'll wrap it up. Why am I making this video? Because the girl, who I won't say her name, over the summer in Brighton, New York, made a video saying that Brighton High School, which is one of the most diverse high schools around, is racist. And that white kids are using the N-word and teachers don't care and this and that. And of course, she was pushed to do the video and to make the video by politicians who were trying to advance their own career and by her mother, an ex-con who defrauded disabled people, who worked at a group home and basically filed for credit cards in the names of folks that were disabled. It's a long story. Look it up. So she made this video and she stirred shit up in the same school district where my family and kids go to. And she did it for some YouTube views, right? Interestingly enough, this same young girl was captured, was seen at a football game in Brighton, New York, just last week with another group, with a group of her friends, talking about sucking dick, screaming, "Suck dick," from the bleachers of Brighton High School. This same girl who claimed to be doing a good act and a good deed and concerned about racism and white kids using the N-word was in a group of kids screaming, "Suck dick," at a football game. Absolutely. New York Jets, Brighton, New York school district is one of the best in upstate New York. So what does this have to do with anything, Davy? A girl was screaming, she's young. It goes to the heart of the hypocrisy of Black Lives Matter, of the double standards. She made a video over the summer to get YouTube views. Much like mainstream news media, she exploited a hot topic issue, which is race. Racism exists everywhere. But she made the video for views. And she claimed to be this holier-than-thou girl who straight up, until Rochester news media, which I often disagree with, but they actually did a good job by discovering her parents and her mother and her father's past, both ex-cons who served time in prison for defrauding innocent disabled people from a group home. Screaming "suck dick" from the bleachers, to the point that a Brighton High School security guard had to intervene and tell them to settle down or leave the premises. And now, this morning, I received an email from Brighton Central School District, BCSD, that they have hired a so-called pastor, another black pastor who wants 15 seconds of fame, to be their director of diversity at the school and for the district. What a fucking joke. All because some young, ignorant-ass, ghetto-ass girl who couldn't fucking stop snapping her fingers in a video stirred shit up and made a video because she is part of one of the most hypocritical movements, hypocritical groups ever, Black Lives Matter, who give two shits when an innocent black life is taken at the hands of another black youth, but will go and jump around and protest the minute a cop kills a black youth. What a fucking double standard. Then she goes to a game where there's children everywhere watching their siblings play on the field and families everywhere. Packed game. And this young girl who is supposedly so concerned about racism and diversity issues at Brighton High School, one of the most diverse schools around, one of the most diverse districts around, this same girl yells "suck dick" from the stands. Disgusting. Black Lives Matter, one of the most hypocritical, double standard movements around. Which begs the question, what is their true goal and true motive in the end? How come they don't show up to the crime scene when so many black youths have been killed just here in Rochester? Where were they when there was a mass shooting and a massacre outside a Boys and Girls Club several years ago here in Rochester, New York on Genesee Street, where several young black people were killed coming out of a basketball game in a drive-by shooting? Where were they? Where was Black Lives Matter then? Where was Black Lives Matter when 2 young black men were executed while sitting in a car in a Rite Aid pharmacy across from a nightclub bar right down the street from the Rochester airport? Where was Black Lives Matter then? Where was Black Lives Matter the other day when Anthony Lawson, 22 years old, a young black man with his whole life ahead of him, was gunned down on the corner of Child and Lowell Avenue? Where was Black Lives Matter? Where's Black Lives Matter when an innocent little black girl sitting in the back of her parents' car is shot and killed in Chicago? Chicago, a city with a disgustingly disturbing high amount of black youth being murdered by other black youths. Where's Black Lives Matter then? Nowhere.